This is a continuation from the last problem. We had just found the x value for the box in the circle. Now, what we still need to do is find the y coordinate, because after we find the y coordinate, we could find the dimensions of this rectangle. Now, before we do that, I want to talk about a different question they could have asked. If you recall number one, the question that they asked us about that farmer making a rectangular field was that how can he do this to minimize the cost of the fence? So pretty much, how can he make this field? What dimensions does the field have to be to fit his conditions? Now, in this one, they're also asking us, what are the dimensions? They could have asked us, what is the maximum area of this rectangle? Now, that would have been like number two, because they asked us, what is the largest volume? All right? So you got to be careful and see what they are asking. Are they asking you to find the dimensions? Or are they asking you to find the actual maximum or minimum value of that function? Okay, so just read it very carefully. In this one, we're asked to find the dimensions. Again, we need the y coordinate. If we wanted the maximum area, we could just take this, plug it in, and that would give us the maximum area. So if you recall, we had a y coordinate of square root r squared minus x squared. So all we have to do now to find this y coordinate is plug it in. Square root r squared minus root 2 over 2r. And then all of it being squared. See, we got the square root still. Minus, well, square root 2 over 2, you're squaring it. Square root 2 squared, the square root and the square cancel, so you get a 2 on top. Divided by 2 squared is 4. So you get a 2/4 or a 1/2, and then r is still being squared. Now, these two are like terms. That's a 1 in front of there. 1 minus 1/2 is square root 1/2 r squared. We've seen this before. 1/2, the square root of 1/2 is root 2 over 2. Square root of r squared is just r. So we now found our y coordinate. Y is equal to square root 2 over 2r. So the x coordinate and the y coordinate are the same. That should tell us something about our shape. Guess what kind of shape it is? We said it's a rectangle, but it's a special kind of rectangle. It's a square. The x and y distances are exactly the same. Now, these are not our answers here, okay? This is not the length of the square. This is not the width of the square. We don't need any of this anymore. They want the dimensions of the square. And if you remember, it was 2y and 2x. So, if I want this dimension, I have to multiply this by 2. And if I want this dimension, I gotta multiply that by 2. And if you notice, they both have a 2 on the denominator. So when I multiply them by 2, these denominators will cancel. So the dimensions, or in other words, our answer here is square root 2r by square root 2r. Okay? These r's are not inside the square roots. And this is the answer. So we didn't specify a radius here. Remember, we left it really general. Now, if we were to specify a radius, then we would be able to pump out concrete numbers and find out the actual distances, the actual dimensions, and a numerical value for the area.